I don't want to make anyone I interview look bad. I don't want to make anyone who watches this feel bad. It's just such an intimate thing. Vulva, 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 vulva. It's like hard to breathe. What do you think this weekend is going to be like?
I would expect crying, maybe even nudity, and maybe even touching oneself.
So are you alone in this treehouse?
I am.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Merle, and today I'm going to be airing my largest insecurity on the internet. This is something that I've never really talked about. It's going to be an experience for all of us. Okay, I'm gonna do that again. I'll do a happy one. I was a really naked kid growing up, and I loved to be naked. I would run around the house naked. So my mom was super body positive, and she always would encourage me as a little girl to take a mirror and go explore, you know, go look at yourself. And I would do that. The first thought was like, cool, this is me, this is what this is. Somewhere over time, I would look at myself and I'd think, am I different? Am I the only one who looks like this? Am I the only one who feels this way? In photos online or in pornography, I would see what I thought was the normal vulva. That was very neat, hairless, pink, no drama, like a line. And I don't know about you, but I have way more going on down there. You know what I did to try to find out if I was normal and if my body was normal? I went on the internet. I remember typing in, what does a normal vagina look like? It really did not help.
Labiaplasty is actually one of the fastest growing cosmetic procedures out of all cosmetic surgery. There's even reports that girls as young as 9 years old are inquiring about getting labiaplasty and changing their bodies because they feel like they're not normal.
This led me to think, who wrote the rule book on what is normal? How is this happening and nobody's talking about it? So I decided I should go talk to a surgeon.
Labiaplasty has been around just for a few decades. The first report in the medical literature was about in the early 80s. Of course, there have been other forms of labiaplasty just in terms of cultural, female circumcisions or genital mutilations. Usually when people just say labiaplasty, they're referring to the labia minora. And that's the inner leaflet of lips, and it's the thinner tissue that tends to protrude if there's any issue. I mean, what issue is there?
I see patients sometimes where the labia minora is longer or asymmetrical and it bothers them. Those are patients that we can fix their labia surgically, but it's not recommended unless it bothers them.
So I actually tend to see patients that are a little bit younger. So patients who are teenagers who are either brought in by their parents, usually their mom. Parents, especially the mothers, are actually very supportive of their daughters. I do notice that usually it's the patients or the daughters are more nervous because they're younger, they've never had any type of surgery, and you're talking about surgery in your genital area. So it's an area that they're already not very comfortable with, they're not very experienced with, and it can get patients pretty nervous.
Labiaplasty is not a benign procedure. In the wrong hands, patients can have scar tissue formation, they can have chronic pain, and their sensitivity in that area can be affected. There's always risk of bleeding, there's risk of infection, and in certain types of labiaplasty, patients are at risk of the suture opening up.
Some possible complications of labiaplasty include, of course, having asymmetry at the end. I mean, the goal is to make sure that your labia are as symmetric and aesthetically pleasing as possible.
How do we decide what normal is?
I would consider a normal or average appearing vulva to be one where the labia minora do not protrude past the labia majora, or if they do protrude, it's just slightly, less than a centimeter. If you're below 4 centimeters, it's not considered like hypertrophy, like there's a deformity, but you can still get it done.
What's the youngest that you've performed the procedure on?
In my practice is 18, but I just did it in a 15-year-old.
So Merle, how are you feeling about this?
I'm like crying.
I get nervous when I think about like young girls, hearing that there's like some kind of a standard or some kind of a regular or a normal, when it doesn't feel like that's anybody's position to take. I like the idea that people are gonna watch this and feel the way that I feel right now. I have very conflicting feelings on labiaplasty. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do with their body, but I don't think it's something that should be taken lightly. And for me, I want to try to do it the homeopathic way and learn to embrace what I've got.
So that led me to go to a weekend immersive experience with Pamela Matson.
Okay, I'm already blushing. This video, I'm nervous. I want to ask you how you feel about A, me doing this video, and B, me going on this retreat where I think I'm going to be naked a lot with a lot of women.
I can tell you as much as possible how beautiful I think you are. But of course, at the end of the day, you know, it's a mindset that if it was so easily fixable just by someone else's words, then it would be. But I know it's something that has to click in your own head.
Are you scared that people are going to think I'm weird and now you're dating me?
Oh, I already knew you were weird before I started dating you, and I love you because of it. Mwah.
We can talk about sex all we want, but sometimes you have to get in there and feel our bodies. Hey, I'm Pamela Matson, and I am a sexuality educator for women. Women are taught from their first breath to be frightened of their bodies. We are covered up. Our bodies are talked about. Women are cultured into body disconnection. So we don't really get to see other women's vulvas. So we have no idea what a normal vulva is. So here's the truth. There is no normal vulva.
Viva la vulva!
Yes. There are no two vulvas that are alike. You have big inner labia and small inner labia and big clits and small clits, and you come in all different colors. Isn't that amazing? And we think there's only one kind of vulva because we're only showed the one in the little girly magazine where some man decided that that was the perfect vulva. My favorite story is I was in fertility, being at a dinner with reproductive endocrinologists, and one was showing off about his new, really fabulous Labiaplasty program that he had. And I looked at him and said, so why are you doing that? Like, what is the reasoning behind cutting off women's inner labias? So he said to me with a very straight face, well, women with large inner labias are uncomfortable wearing blue jeans.
So functional reasons for labiaplasty could be that the patient is having pain.
They feel uncomfortable.
They can even have some discomfort just based off of the type of clothes that they wear.
Like if they wear an underwear or tight-fitting clothes.
During activities such as having sex.
With sports, you know.
Wow, really? So like men with big cocks, like do they come in and have their cock shortened so that they can fit better in their blue jeans? And so they can ride their bicycle better? So, like fake news. Perfect vulva that looks this way or that way is fake news. Perfect vulvas, that is your vulva, that's the truth.
We need more sex education, and not just about reproductive health, but what is sexual health, different changes that go on in different ages in our life, and then also how to talk about it. How do we talk about what's going on with us sexually and normalize it?
So when you're in high school, what they teach you is that if you have sex, basically you're gonna get a disease, die, or get pregnant. Nobody ever talks about pleasure.
And you remember the way they depict female reproductive system. It's, you know, the chart, it kind of looks like Lucifer's goat, which is like pretty rock and roll. But for me, there was no education on the external parts of female genitalia.
I don't have a vulva model, though I only have the vagina. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most doctors will not ask about sex or about sexual anatomy, like they won't. And they're uncomfortable. I think the reality is most adults, the people who are teaching kids, are not comfortable with sexuality themselves.
So the vulva is actually the external genitalia for female bodies, and that can include the clitoris, the labia minora majora. The vulva is more involved with female pleasure. The vagina is actually the internal genitalia. It's also referred to as the birth canal.
You don't learn your vulva anatomy in high school. What you learn about in high school is not to show your vulva to anybody, including yourself. We judge our beauty, our sexuality, our hotness through the eyes of other people. We don't actually feel it inside ourselves. So what we're going to be doing over these next 2 days is some reclamation. And what we're just going to be asking you to do is receive. How does it feel as a woman just to be adored, to have presence, to have touch given to you? And what happens to your body when you can simply be focused on that? If you don't trust your body, if you're hiding your body, if you're hiding your sexuality, how are you going to be a leader in your life?
I was feeling really empowered and curious, really curious. I was like, okay, wait. I've never heard people think of sex this way. Does this mean that there's like an area of the world where people are trying to lift women up in this way? Like, what?
Cool. I think I might. Can I actually ask you a couple of questions on camera?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Bring it on!
All right.
If we're allowed to grow up learning about the pleasure of being a woman, if we're allowed to grow up loving our bodies, those are the young women that grow up to be the president.
Why is this so uncomfortable? For me, like why is this hard to talk about?
We've heard this as a private part, we've heard this as a dirty part, we've heard messages like cover this, don't show, and we don't really have a relationship with our vulvas. And the words for some people are embarrassing.
So the vulva is the
vulva, vagina, they just don't feel like a friendly word.
For the vulva can be, for the vulva, that's the hard word.
Vulva, vagina.
I should say, okay, so for the, should I say the?
Vulva, vagina. Vulva.
Female genital area, or?
Vulva.
I'll just say vulva.
Yeah, I would say vulva.
Yeah, okay, vulva.
As a clinician, I don't think I heard vulva until I was in graduate school, already studying to be a sex therapist.
We are always worried that we are taking too long. And that's because we run on a patriarchal model of the sexual experience.
We carry generations of shame that we've just been hearing these messages and taught these messages. So when we liberate ourselves, it's life-changing.
Most women are cheated out of their arousal. Men aren't trained in it. Women don't have a clue. You need between 15 minutes and 45 minutes or an hour just to get warmed up. You're worried about how you taste. You worry about how you smell. It can be so startling when you finally realize that your body is beautiful and your sexuality is beautiful and that you wasted all these months, perhaps all these years, on shame. It's that moment of, oh my God, why did I let this go by?
What brought me to this whole thing was like a deep insecurity with how I look. And I was like, and like that's what brought me here, and that's what the whole video is about, is like getting to know your vulva, understanding what a vulva is. That kind of was my pathway to arousal. By like conquering that, I'm like, wow, there's so much out there. Like, you know, that whole world.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to like pause because it's like such a big deal, and I can like feel the emotion with that.
Yeah, I never like put that first. I think I carry a lot of trauma there too. So it's just like always like a really unsafe place.
Most women have experienced some sort of trauma at some point in their life. Big T trauma, little t trauma, some sort of experience that wasn't great. If you've experienced trauma in your body, connecting with your body can kind of be like returning to the scene of the crime in a way.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like...
I've had sexual experiences where not only did I not get what I want, I've had things taken from me. And that doesn't leave your body. Your body remembers things that your mind will let go of. And this was another reason it was so terrifying to connect to my body, because I have so many scary memories there. I've been salivated over by people I don't want to be thinking about me. I don't want to be touching me. And this felt like an opportunity to reclaim that my body is just for myself. It's like hard to breathe.
You just gotta feel it. Yeah.
So you're going to be doing lotus lift meditation. Ladies, you are so powerful.
We're here in this room with these women. Yeah. You can look around. You can notice that there's other women that get it. That connection, it kind of brings it back down, right?
Yeah. And also, like, just kind of feeling like you're not alone. And, like, not everybody has the same journey, obviously, but it's just exciting and obviously very emotional, but I struggled with it for a really long time. And I don't know, it feels like a good new beginning and like giving permission to take it on.
Women who are embodied are dangerous. And that's why the culture works really hard to shame us and keep us small. When you give yourself permission, you enroll people into your lives. When you explain what you're doing, when you share what you're doing, when you don't make what you're doing shameful and you don't hide. And then guess what? You permission other women. She permission, then I permission, then you permission, and then we're all permissioned. And then we become beautiful receivers. Wherever you are in your relationship to your body, to your sexuality, whatever you're feeling, you're not alone.
I think we need to stop waiting for permission to love ourselves. Something Pamela said that really stuck with me was, bodies are beautiful when bodies are embodied. And that's for everyone. I feel unstoppable now. I'm really excited to see where this takes me.